Secret Asian man, secret Asian man.
I got some whiskey to make with my beans via Noodles Cat 100. His bean recipe required some whiskey, and I didn't have any in the house, so when I got some, and I remember that actually Kevin had a review on Old Crow. I think that's like the very first video of his I ever saw, was Old Crow, and in some circles you can consider it bargain basement. Now, aficionados out there know Maker's Mark. Went ahead and picked up a bottle of that too, and I just, out of curiosity, wanted to know how they compared. What makes this bargain basement and this much more? This probably ran about 23 bucks, and this was $8. So let's take a taste. A little Crow in this shot glass. Just enough for a taste. And just to show you that this is indeed a new bottle. I think you go. Okay. Breaking the seal, breaking the seal. There we go. Now, I've had Maker's Mark before, and it is quite delightful. Just the sound of it. Okay. Which one first? Well, I know what Maker's Mark tastes like. Let's go for the Old Crow. Well, let's do a smell test here. Smells okay. Doesn't have like a gasoline smell or anything. Very similar. Duh. They're both whiskeys, but you know, you would think from the bargain basement you get like a kerosene or some kind of petroleum smell. But yeah, Old Crow. So far, so good. Very rye. Has a very rye smell, if you know what that means. This is the Maker's Mark. Yeah, they smell identical to me. Alright, I'm just going to take a little taste and swish it around, see what happens. It's got a little burn to it. Not much. It's got a warm uptake. You can taste a little bit of the sour in it. Yeah, now that I've gotten used to the sour, I can taste the sweet. It's nice. It's pretty pleasant. It's not rot gut by any means. Not bad for $7, huh? Yeah, I could sip this. Alright, so there's a baseline. Not too bad. Probably should drink something in between to cleanse the palate, so to speak. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and drink this right afterwards to see. Usually, to get the difference, you want to drink one right after the other. For me, so I can tell. I'm expecting to get this, but this, the instantaneous difference will stick out more. I can kind of sense a little more alcohol to it, and it doesn't have quite the sour that the Old Crow does, but course, I'm probably used to the sour now. But one right after, there is a subtle difference, but there's not one that says, oh, this is so much better than the other. And it is true, this has more of a rye taste to it, and you can taste like the oakness of the barrels. Yeah, I would say they're very similar. I'm not a whiskey expert. I do enjoy a little bit of whiskey once in a while, but I don't see the whatever $12–15 difference between the two. Of course, some of you out there may beg to differ, but it'd be interesting to do a taste test to see which one wins out. I'm all about quality, but if you're not going to get any more value for the dollar that you spend, I see it kind of as a waste. Now, there's no doubt I do like Maker's Mark, but I think the Old Crow is giving Maker's Mark a run for its money. Yeah, I'm tasting the sweet. Again, there's no burn, or about the same amount of burn, but very little from the Maker's Mark. There's a little bitter at the end. There's a little bitter at the end of the Maker's Mark. You know, if I had to kind of make a qualitative judgment, the Old Crow is a little sweeter. From Old Crow to Maker's Mark, the Maker's Mark wasn't as sour on the uptake, but then it wasn't as sweet. The Maker's Mark wasn't as sweet. The Old Crow, from going from Maker's Mark to Old Crow, I could taste that the Old Crow was a little sweeter and didn't have that hint of bitter aftertaste. But for the money, I have to vote for the Old Crow. Sorry, guys. 40% by volume, 45% by volume. So that 5% I could actually tell when I took the first sip of the Maker's Mark. So you know, yeah, you can say you're paying a little bit more for the alcohol content, but for taste, you know, if you, God forbid, if you're drinking Old Crow every day, to me, Old Crow is the best bang for the buck. So another good call, Kevin. Okay, let's take a look at the information on Old Crow here. The original sour mash, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, distilled and bottled under the United States government supervision by, wherever that guy is, division of the Old Crow Distillery Company, Frankfort, Claremont, Kentucky. 80 proof, 1835. When Dr. James Crow invented the sour mash process in 1835, he revolutionized Kentucky bourbon making. Old Crow soon became the world's best-selling bourbon. Through the years, Old Crow has often been imitated but never duplicated. Enjoy the true original. Aged for a full 3 years in new charred white oak barrels. Thus, there's no cedar taste to it. Surgeon General's warning. Alright, let's take a look at the Maker's Mark. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, handmade, distilled, aged, and bottled by the Maker's Mark Distillery, Inc., Star Hill Farm, Loretto, Kentucky, USA. Maker's Mark is America's only handmade bourbon whiskey never mass-produced. Oldest, only handmade. I don't know what that means. Each individual batch is less than 19 barrels, and this small quantity means we can be choosy about everything we use and everything we do to craft our whiskey. That's why we use the old style sour mash method. We start each new batch fermentation by using a little of the last, resulting in a more consistent product. We're proud of our unique and full flavored handmade bourbon, and so we add our maker's mark, I guess that's the maker's mark there, to each bottle. Enjoy. So they don't say they're the original, but they do say they're the only handmade, never mass produced. Of course, that's relative, right? Anytime you're in the neighborhood, stop by and visit us at our distillery near Loretto, Kentucky. This beautiful restored home of Maker's Mark is a designated Kentucky and National Historic Landmark. Fully matured alcohol, 45% by volume. Now they don't say what they age them in, whereas this said they're in oak barrels. I guess I can look up what they're aged in, but anyway, it's Maker's Mark. Cheers. Of course, you don't get the fancy bottle like Maker's Mark. Bottoms up. See you later.